Tony Grossi talking about how much pressure is on Andrew Berry. This from ESPN Cleveland.
If he doesn't get this right and these players don't pan out, could we see a change at GM next year?
No. I think it's a 2-year mulligan, Chris.
Okay.
I think it's a 2-year deal. He's not off the hook, but I think the owner now understands that it's going to take more than this off season to turn this thing around. And that to me is very encouraging and refreshing, that they're not deluding themselves into thinking, we'll be right back in it next year. Because I thought that I'll leave these meetings with that conclusion, that even the owner realizes they can't get this thing turned around until they get the Watson money completely behind them and they find their quarterback.
I don't disagree with any of that. And Andrew Berry's draft record hasn't been great, but he also hasn't been drafting high enough to make the impact that he needs to, quite honestly.
Yeah, it's tough to plug those holes when you don't have a first round pick for the last 3 years. So yeah, this was a good segue by you, and kudos to Brian there. That's exactly the other takeaway I think from Haslam's comments this week, and I agree with Tony wholeheartedly. He pointed out that this was going to be more than a year, probably 2 years, to kind of at least right the ship again, right? I mean, you're almost starting over from scratch, which is, I know, impossible and really hard for people to stomach right now because this has been ongoing for forever. But they acknowledge their mistake. They now understand that it's going to take patience. And I know nobody has patience here. And, unfortunately for the Haslams, who have had to kind of learn on the fly and make mistakes as they've gone along over their tenure. But this is the biggest one that they've made. And so now it's about fixing that. In terms of pressure being on Andrew Berry, there's always pressure on general managers. There's always pressure on coaches. There's always pressure on starting quarterbacks. That's the nature of the beast. There's pressure on everybody in the NFL. I don't care who you are. It's a bottom line business. You got to win, and you got to get your draft picks right, and you got to make the right moves to get your team competitive again. So I don't think he's under the gun for this season by any means, though, Dave. I don't think there'd be any pressure, unless they made some catastrophic mistakes in the draft, but I don't see that being possible either. Andrew Berry is a very smart guy. He's surrounded by very smart people. They're going to do their due diligence and do all they can to get this team, straightened out as quickly as they possibly can. And I think Jimmy and Dee Haslam are going to give them the time to do it.
Yeah, and I think he and Kevin Stefanski, they're kind of locked at the hip together, and quite honestly, now you need the quarterback because you need the general manager, the head coach, and the quarterback to all be kind of locked at the hip.
I've heard you say that before, Dave. I've heard that missing quarterback piece has been a constant theme, hasn't it?